Leeds United Football Club should not be visiting Myanmar because Myanmar football grounds are soaked to the blood of Rohingya community.
What you just heard there from the head of the Stop Rohingya Genocide campaign is being echoed by other human rights groups after British football club Leeds United scheduled 2 matches in Myanmar. The UN says the Southeast Asian nation is guilty of ethnic cleansing and human rights abuses against the minority Rohingya Muslims. Almost 700,000 have fled to neighboring Bangladesh. Rights groups have urged Leeds to reconsider, but the club's owner, Andrea Radrizzani, is not budging. He says the matches will have a positive impact on the local community and even highlight the plight of those suffering in Myanmar. To discuss the controversy, I'm joined here in the studio by Kyaw Win. He's a Rohingya activist, and he is also the founder and executive director of the Burma Human Rights Network. In Yangon, we have a former member of the ruling NLD party, Nyo Ohn Myint, and completing our panel, Darren Lewis. He's a football writer for the Daily Mirror and joins us from Madrid. We did invite the Leeds United CEO and representatives from the club to appear on the program as well. Unfortunately, they declined our invitation. Okay, Darren, I just need to start with you because I want to know that purely from a UK sports perspective, why play in Myanmar?
It's a very good question to which we haven't had satisfactory answers yet, Andrea. Leeds United, they're failing in the Championship, the second tier of English football. They're 14th in that division. They've won 3 out of 22 matches. They are desperate to raise their profile. And from the point of view from fans and MPs as well in this country, there is a view that this is driven by money and not by the well-being of the people who have suffered so much over there.
And what do you think, Darren?
I would entirely agree.
You agree with that?
I point you to the statement that was made talking about the money being made on the ground and the football being played on the ground soaked in the blood of the innocent Rohingya children, the women and the older people. Leeds say that from their point of view, they will raise awareness. What they want to do is raise money. And what they want to do is be able to pave the way for a market that they can cash in on in the future.
Okay, Nyo Ohn Myint, I can see you disagree. You think there's a good cause for this. Tell us why.
Yeah, I think right now the international receive the misperceptions and then also disinformation. Because you know what? Yeah, of course, I'm really sorry about the one who displaced the what you call the Rohingya, we call them Bengalis, and but you know, a very unfortunate thing. Right now, we're trying to the government and then also the military trying to settle this problem, and I think that right now why we really need the international community. Really need to punish. Why not the other, like the Syrian issue, the other international issue? Why they're silent? Too silent? Why that the Myanmar is at the very center of the very center, and then it's a very sad to know that. And then also right now, government has at the I think a very completed program for the one who has. The one who left the country and then staying the neighboring Bangladesh.
But are you basically saying that Myanmar is being treated unfairly and that there are other countries that don't get the same kind of negative attention that Myanmar is getting and this is unfair?
Yeah, that's unfair because, that's a conflict. Conflict because the violence started from the Rohingya minorities, and then then after that, there's going to be a lot of rumors. That's the misinformation, and then some are very much the problem in that conflict area. But the whole international community. That's of course that's a situation, and then my opinion is that how to solve the problem rather than blaming and naming.
Okay, and you think sports should be left out of the politics, basically?
That's correct.
Okay, fair enough. Kyaw Win, I imagine you were deeply disappointed, at least, when you heard Leeds was going to play in Myanmar. I mean, how do you feel it actually undermines the plight of the Rohingya?
I mean, Leeds United is an illegal, independent entity in the business. And in that case, they are seeking money. That is their priority. But as a supporter, and I'm addressing to Leeds supporter in UK, how could we allow our icon, our teams, that totally ignore the principle that the team they are playing, the owner of that team, is the contractor who's going to build Rohingya concentration camp in Rakhine State? And how could we going to support with our money, with our voice, the team that downplaying, and this is shooting their own goals in principle. So I'm very shocked. And I'm very shocked with this gentleman as well, who seems to be heartless to me and saying that blaming international community for not fair with Burma. This is really shocking. I mean, I don't know what newspaper he's been reading and which news channel he's been watching. I'm very sure that he's been watching Burmese propaganda news channels, at least, Then he doesn't know the gravity of the ground, how women has been raped, how people has been killed, how the villages has been burned down, and how the genocide has been committed by these generals, by these politicians in Burma. So this is not the unfair games going to Burma, happen with Burma.
Nyo, I can visibly see you laughing at what Kyaw has to say.
Yeah. No, I just like a genocide. That's interesting that the 700 Rohingya minority left their homes, and we still have like 500,000. If a genocide, it means that you have to clear everything, do the ground zero. Okay. And then 500,000 people are still comfortably live, but bit of fear, of course.
I mean, not all Jews were eliminated in Germany. Some were still there, not taken into concentration camps. You wouldn't say that
I think the gentleman need to update his knowledge of the legal side, because genocide doesn't mean to eliminating the total population. Even you kill one person, one human being, also can be genocide. Or without killing anyone can be also genocide.
But even if we don't get into the legal definitions of genocide, I mean, the United Nations has said this is one of the clearest cases of ethnic cleansing they've seen. But Nyo, I mean, I'm just coming to understand that you think all of that is a lie, really, that the treatment of the Rohingya, there's nothing to be said about it. So I go ahead.
Yeah, maybe, some cases, that's why some kind of perpetrators from the military, from the police, and from the other community, Rakhine community, have been charged and sent to the jail. Whoever make it extrajudicial killing, and then some kind of illegal activities.
Okay.
So, I disagree with this.
Okay. You know what? Before we get into too much about what is actually happening on the ground in Myanmar, because I can tell you two clearly disagree about what the situation actually is, I'd like to get back to the issue of Leeds playing friendly matches there. And let me go back to Darren for this, because we heard Nyo say that, we should divide sports and politics. They're two separate things. Let sports flourish. Politics is for someone else to sort out. We heard that same kind of talk during apartheid South Africa. And eventually, apartheid South Africa fell not just under the weight of sanctions, but because of the cultural, sports, and art embargo that South Africa was suffering from. Do you see kind of the same elements here when it comes to sports and this issue being raised in Myanmar?
I do indeed. And I think you don't even have to go back too far to see the examples of the societal change and awareness that can be raised by sport. You look at the US and Colin Kaepernick highlighting the cases of social injustice being suffered by black people over there. I think, and you've already outlined it, the United Nations have described what's going on in Burma as a textbook example, quote unquote, of ethnic cleansing. And if players were going there specifically to raise awareness of what is going on, of the people being displaced, of the women and children against whom heinous crimes are being committed, then fair enough. But let's not kid ourselves here. Sport in general, yes, it can work as a force for good, but football, in terms of morality, is very, very wanting. And I think as far as football is concerned, they see an opportunity here to raise money in yet another territory. That's what I have the biggest problem with. If they were, as you mentioned a second ago, going with the intention, as so many others have done, to raise awareness of injustice, I'd be fully in favour of it. Sadly, that's
Nyo, let me ask you, I mean, Amnesty International described it as odd that Leeds chose to play in Myanmar, but they said, fine, if you really want to raise awareness, the club has a responsibility then to call for an end to the ethnic cleansing that is occurring against the Rohingya on this visit. First of all, I mean, do you think that's fair? And should the team perhaps do that? Should the manager that arranged for this take a stand on the human rights issue in Myanmar while he's there?
Yeah, I think this is the one thing that's going to be the world is not all united, and then but you know some people should have to look at the problem exactly what really happened, because that we should have like an international monitoring and then like a very independent investigation who are wrong or who were right. So and then the very judgment is a very premature. Then everyone is a very uniform. That's the problem. That's a problem. That's not a solution. We should find a solution. How we save the human life.
I mean, gentlemen like him who has playing double face, I can tell you something. This is a Burmese military and Burmese government propaganda dialogue. I mean, propaganda method techniques. The way they block all the investigation. They never allow any media to cover the news. They never allow any international body like fact-finding missions, like a special reporter Yang Healy, to visit and investigate in the Rakhine State. And on the other hand, people like him saying that without any investigation, there shouldn't be any, because people who suffer 700,000. Earlier he said 700. He lost 3 digits. I mean 3 zeros there. 700,000, and total population in Bangladesh now is 1 million. And these 1 million people are saying that their experience, their shocking experience. These are the genocide survivors, and they are the traumatized people, and the information coming out from them. And there are a lot of NGOs and experts and international body investigating there. Why don't Burmese government, if this is a lie, these are the lie, why don't Burmese government allow these people to investigate in Rakhine State before they are bulldozing all the evidences?
Okay. Darren, I need to ask you this, because you're pretty much the closest to the team itself as a sports reporter. Have you heard anything from the players themselves about how they feel about this? Have they been allowed to express any opinion on this? And I mean, right now I'm hearing actually that the one thing they have said they're worried about and maybe would not like to participate is because they are afraid of the Zika virus in Myanmar.
Well, not only the Zika virus, but also the terrorist threat that exists. I mean, they will play, just to be clear, they'll play in Yangon and they'll play in Mandalay. They'll play an all-star team and they'll play a national team as well. The clubs say, to be fair, that there is quote-unquote a minimal risk to the players and to the journey itself. But look, the players are concerned, the fans are concerned. They've been very, very vocal about the potential to be drawn into something quite needlessly. And just to, almost to bookmark the point I made earlier, Andrea, the clubs say, I feel the club should be making a point. They should be taking a stand. Andrea Radrizzani, the Italian businessman who owns Leeds, he says, it has never been my intention or that of the club to get involved in a political debate in Myanmar. The very fact that Leeds as a club would not want to be represented in this debate concerns me, because I would think that they would want to represent themselves as a club and kind of make clear that they intend to go as a force for good. They don't, in my opinion. And I think the players are very concerned about that.
Okay, Darren, I will have to give you the last word. Unfortunately, we are completely out of time for this segment. I'd like to thank all three of our guests so much for joining us.
Thank you.